This is DMG and welcome to 7D System, and in this video we're going to talk about how do you build a good RPG gaming group. So there are two parts to this: getting players that make the group great and keeping players that make the grape good, and keeping players that make the group great. So as far as players that make the group great, obviously there are certain personalities in terms of the style that they like to play, but I think it's more important to focus on certain aspects of life outside of the game that will probably have a lot more influence over how, when, and where you play that will make the group great. So the first thing to consider is people that will be able to sit together for several hours and not destroy one another. So this is probably a key component, being able to sit in a room with lots of people for many hours on end, sometimes up to 8, 9, 10 hours, depending on how you like to play. That needs to be important, as people can actually socialize together for that period of time in a close, confined space. People who can get along. It's probably also very important to have people who have similar interests, because what tends to happen in role-playing games is you may have some side discussions between people. And it's important that these side discussions become inclusive rather than exclusive. So if you've got one person who likes sport and another one who likes flower arranging, they may not be able to talk to one another outside of the game. You really want to build a base of people that are going to be good friends material, that will help to make the group great. You may have a group where there are these two disparate sources of interest, and they may have other interests that are in common, like the game itself. So it's not something that should be exclusatory. They only play sport, so I'm not going to invite them into the game. You should try out people and see how they fit together, because other aspects of their personality may actually meld them together better. A critical component is people in a stable relationship if both parties of that relationship are in the game. So this starts to come around when, someone brings their new boyfriend or their new girlfriend to the gaming group and they've been going out with them for 2 weeks. There's several problems that can occur here. The boyfriend or the girlfriend that they've brought may be a fantastic player, and they're really great in the group, and then that person breaks up with them, and so they leave. Now you've lost a great player. Or, there becomes a dispute. I mean, the relationship falls apart very quickly, and again, you're losing players, either both or one, or, you don't want to be left with the mess. I know it seems harsh, but trust me, I've been through it. Rather wait for a relationship to have gone through several stages. So some people go through stages faster than others, but once a relationship is stable, then start to introduce the other party of the relationship into the game. So give it some time before this gets done. Of course, always try to incorporate existing friends and friends of friends. So the friends of friends, if they're friends with your friends, it's most likely that they can become your friends because, your friends have similar interests to you. But some friends may have friends who have other interests, but again, you can bring them in to the fold. You may have, their personalities may work with the dynamic of the game. So explore the avenue of friends and friends of friends. Plenty of people get great gaming buddies from work, so they're work colleagues. Again, it's probably better if the work colleague is someone who you've worked with for a period of time. So you don't want an awkward situation where it's someone who's new at work, or you're new at work, and they bring into the game and they thoroughly hate it, and now you have to work every day with this person and they have a negative opinion about what it is you do, who you are. You just don't want that. So you want to wait with work colleagues. You want to make sure that you have worked together for a long time. So if something were to go wrong, it's not going to be a problem to see this person every single day. thereafter. Also, a thing that people don't tend to consider is people with similar time commitments. So if you have someone who is in high school and someone who has a full-time job and someone who's at college, these three people have different time constraints. So you need to consider with your group, if everyone has a full-time job and 2 kids, they're going to have similar time commitments. So that group is going to be meeting less, but everyone's a high school student. Obviously, they've got more time on their hands, so more free time to do this sort of thing if you want to do it regular games. But when it comes to doing regular games and people with a lot of time commitments, then if everyone in the group has time commitments, then everyone understands that scheduling is a big deal, and people will need to make plans far ahead. So you may need to be planning a month ahead of schedule rather than a couple of hours or a few days ahead. So consider time commitments as a very important factor of building a great group. People who like to chip in. It's people who like to chip in and help and say, yes, I'll host at my house, or I'll bring the food, or I'll buy that extra book we don't have for the game. These are the people you want as part of your great gaming group. These are the people you want as part of your great gaming group, because these people are going to help to build the group. So in future videos, we're going to talk about what size of group is best in terms of number of players. But at this point, people who are able to chip in and who are able to add to the game are very important. And once you have core players, use the core players to find additional players. So again, friends and friends of friends, work colleagues, etc. Once you have a core group of people, you can begin to bring in new people through them rather than having to do it yourself. So that brings me to keeping great players. How do you keep great players? It's a very simple 3-step formula, and that is keep it entertaining, keep them fed, and sort out any disagreement immediately. One small thing to add to that is if the whole group complains about one person and that person doesn't change their ways, get rid of them. Give them 2, maybe 3 chances. But if they're still going to be messing around and screwing up the group dynamic, get rid of the bad eggs. And finally, you can help us out in the comments section below, the argument section if you like, on how to find some offbeat ways of actually finding new players for your group. Now, one thing that I like to suggest to people, and people sometimes think I'm crazy, but role-playing games from Dungeons & Dragons has been around for 40 years. So one of the places you may want to consider is retirement villages. Because if someone started playing in 20, they'd be in their 60s now. 25, they'd be 65. 30, they'd be 70. So there may very well be hardcore role-playing gamers that are in retirement villages and they have plenty of time on their hands and will probably be really happy to have a good gaming group join them there. They'll have a place to host. They'll have plenty of other people who will want to find out what you're up to. If you don't know anybody like that, you can go and ask to place something on one of their message boards. It doesn't hurt to try. You'd be amazed how many people have rich, entertaining, and wondrous things in their lives that will add to a gaming group in a retirement village. So I urge you to attempt that one if you haven't done it, which I don't think many people have. Then you might think of something like an adult learning center. So people are there to help learn new skills. So it's kind of like college, kind of like they may be doing high school or some kind of new training to reinvent themselves. Adult learning centers, those would be good places to pick up people who are interested in trying something new. And one probably no one has tried, and that is the gym. People are in and out of diverse, different backgrounds going to a gym. It's not all meatheads. So ask the gym if you can place a message on the notice board to see if anyone is interested in playing a role-playing game. Another interesting one is coffee shops. Now, lots of coffee shops are always trying to bring new customers into the coffee shop, and especially when they can have something interesting going on. So the best thing to do is to ask the coffee shop owner or manager, is there a slow period that happens in the coffee shop, and is it okay if you bring a group in to play in the coffee shop? Now, this gives you not only a venue, a steady supply of coffee, but it also has the most important thing, the spectators. And the spectators will be people who are walking in and going, oh, what are these guys playing? They don't know. They will ask, or they will have played before and will discover a gaming group, and they'll ask if they can play too in the future. And an old favorite, the library, because people do still use the library. I don't know why, but they do, and if you're able to, get a message up in the sci-fi and fantasy section. So thank you for joining me. If you like this video, click the like button. You can check me out on youtube.com/70system and subscribe there to see future videos. The next one being, what is a good gateway game to get into RPGs? If you'd like to support this channel, please check me out on patreon.com/70system and also on social medias, Facebook and Twitter /70system. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow.